Going to look at Python. So that is the basic syntax and three data types. You're going to have strings, numbers, and Boolean. So ensure you have Visual Studio Code installed. So just go and search for Visual Studio Code. So after it has opened, I can just create a folder on my desktop. Here, new Python class. Then you can just drag and drop it onto Visual Studio Code, so it will open the Python class folder on Visual Studio Code. So the first thing we're going to look at is the indentation, and Python is known for its readability and simplicity. So for indentation, it's either 4 spaces or 1 tab, but ensure you have it consistently throughout your document. So we can first create the first file. You can call it main.py. Then let's have the first example of indentation. So we can compare two numbers. 5 is greater than 2, and then we have that. You can see, because I'm using Visual Studio Code, it's able to note where the tab should be or where the space should be at. And then let's just print something. We can print 5 is greater than 2. That should be all. Let's save that file. Not sure if you've seen it well, so let me come here to view, appearance, and just zoom it out. No, I did the opposite. View, appearance, zoom in. I think I should do it another time. Yeah, that should be okay. So if you're on Windows, press Ctrl Shift, then let's run this. So if you have Python installed, you should have Python main.py. Let's see. So 5 is greater than 2. So you can see that file is running correctly. But if we remove the space here, this file would have an error. So let's try run it. So you can see it has an error. It will tell you there expected an indentation block after if statement. So we can just revert that. That is the first thing that we want to look at. We are supposed to look at the Python syntax, that is the indentation. And then we can also look at comments. So what are comments? Comments in Python are written using the hash symbol. Comments are not executed by the interpreter, and they are helpful for code documentation. This is to tell people what your code exactly is doing. So for example, if I wanted a single line comment here, just have this hash, and then this is a single line comment. So that is, this will not get executed. That is a single line. But if you want a double line, you can have that, and then this is double line comments. And those two will not get executed. So if we run the file again, it should just give us the same thing. So that is the comments. We have done the indentation, we have done the comments, and now let's look at the 3 data types that I told you about. So we're going to first look at strings, and strings are just sequences of characters enclosed in single or double quotes. So you can use either. You can use either as long as they match. So let's create, we can just create another file here. You can call it strings.py. So let's first instantiate a variable in Python. You don't need to say var, you don't need to have let, you just go straight to the variable. So string 1, so for string they have to match. So you can't have that then have the double. They have to, if it's single, it's single. If it's both double, you have the double ones. So we can have pattern here. So that is one string. Then we can have the second one, which can have the single quotes to the guru. So that should be good. Let's print. what do we print? Let's print string 1. Then let's have an in between here. Show it string 2 below. So we know the difference. So down there, let's go ahead and print 2. So let's run that and see. So Python strings.py. So you can see string 1, Breton, string 2, Guru the Guru. So that is how you do strings in Python. So you can have the single or you can have the double quotes. So we can go ahead and do something we call concatenation, so that you can combine two strings. That is something that you do very often in Python. So let's go ahead and do one. So we can have something like a greeting, like hello, and then a name, hello John, or hello Breton, or hello someone else. Let's see how you do the concatenation. Let's go ahead. So let's have the variable greeting. We can just remove these prints here. We don't need them. Greeting is hello. Then we have the name. We can use string 1 as the name. So let's just change this as the name. Then let's do the concatenation. So message will be the greeting variable. And then you have the plus sign. Then you're going to have a space in between and a comma. We can do that so that we have hello. And then you do the plus sign. So you're just adding the two strings because they're both strings. So that is what we call concatenation. And then at the end of it all, you can have the exclamation because it's a greeting. And then let's print this and see what it brings out. So message. And remember we did commenting. So you can comment here and see the output is supposed to be hello. Then you should have a comma and then you should have Breton. Let's see if, and then we should have an exclamation at the end. Let's see. Go ahead and run that again. So hello Breton. You can see that is what get back. So that is concatenation in Python. So let's also do string formatting. So you can use the F strings to do the string formatting for easy string formatting. So let me just show you how that is done. So let's remove this so that, or let's comment it out. You can remove that there. Just comment there. So let's go ahead, and we already have the name at the top. So Breton, we can have the age, which is, let's say 24. That is the age. So age is an integer, so not that. And then let's do the string formatting. So print, we said you can use the F strings. So F, and then you have string, and you can have name. The name will be as we have noted up there. And then, so name is Breton, age will be that. Then you can have years old. Let's see if that works. So let's save that and let's run the file again. So you can see Breton is 24 years old. So that is how you do the string formatting. You can use the F strings, which is the easiest one to use. So finally, let's look at numbers. So in numbers, Python has two main numeric data types. You can either have an integer or you can have a floating point number. So you can have the two, an integer or a floating point number. So let's first look at integers. Integers can either be both positive or negative. Let's create another file here and have integers.py. So let's create an integer x. An integer x will be equals to 5. And then we can have an integer y. So they can either be positive or they can be negative. Then you can have those as the integers. So if you print that, you either get 5 or -3. So those are integers. And then we have floating point numbers, or numbers with a decimal point. That is what we mean by floating point numbers. So for example, pi is usually 3.142. Then, or 3.14159. It's, you can have that, or 3.142. And then the negative floating type would be -2.5. That is also nice to know. So You have integers which can be positive or negative, and they can either be, the numerics can be a floating that has a decimal point, it can be an integer. So those are just numbers. So let's do some basic arithmetic before we go into Boolean. So for example, in Python, do a minus. So let's have an integer a, which is 10. Also have an integer b, which is 3. I think 3 would be good. So let's do an summation. Summation add will just be a plus b, just the same way you do arithmetic in math, is the same way we do it in Python. A subtract would be a, which is larger, minus b. We'll just be printing all this so that we are able to know. So we can have the f string, then let's have addition. So addition will be add. Let's go ahead down here. Let's have the subtract. We can have f. Then subtract would be subtract. Let's go ahead, and we have done addition, subtraction. Let's do multiply. You can see how easy Python is. So a multiply by b. Then down here, let's just do the print. It's nice to do the repetition, just type it out instead of just copying and pasting, because it will get ingrained into your mind. Multiply. Then the final one should be a divide. Divide would be a is 10, so a divide by b. I think that should do. And then let's print. So we have here, we have a divide, and then we have divide. Should be okay. So let's see what is thrown out. So I think I ran the wrong one, so let's go with Python strings integers. Bye. Multiply is not defined. Let's see. I had a typing there, so let's go. So you can see the addition is 13, the subtract is 7, the multiply is 30, the divide is 3.333. So finally, let's check on booleans. So a boolean can either represent a true or a false, and they are commonly used in conditional statements. So for example, you can have an is active, which is true, and you can have an is underscore admin, which is false. But let's use them when doing comparison operators. So let's have two integers. I think we can just continue here on the integers. So we can have an integer x is 5, integer y, which is 10. For example, let's do comparison here between x. Is x greater than y? Let's see what that gives us. So this should give us a boolean, either a true or a false. That is what we call a boolean. So let's rerun that. So you see, it gives us a false. So this is a boolean. A boolean can either be a true or a false. Let's see if you do print x is less than y, what do we get? Let's go ahead and do that again. So you think you still get a false. No, I have not saved. Should be wrong here. So it should be a true, because x is 5, y is 10. So x is definitely less than y. And then we can do something like check if the equality are both of them equal. So print is x equals y. See, x equals y. So you can see it says false, they're not equal. And then finally, let's do, is x not equal y? That's what that means, not equal. We can have that and see. So that is true. X is not equal to y. So we have just looked at the basic syntax for Python. We've looked at commenting. We've looked at indentation. We've gone ahead to look at three data types. We've looked at Boolean. We've looked at integers or numbers. And we have also looked at strings. So thank you for your time and see you in the next class.